Welcome to a bonus episode of the Friendly Atheist podcast. This is Jess. I am here with my husband, Mikey.
Hello.
Oh, yikes. Okay. Big entrance. So we were planning on recording this to put on our bonus feed, but when we finished the movie, Mikey was so excited that he insisted that we put it on the main feed so he could share it with his friends.
I didn't think you'd take that seriously, but this is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen in my life.
So over the course of quarantine, if you're not a Patreon donor, Mikey and I have been doing a series of movies that are about people being trapped together, and they're recording just sort of a podcast review about them. And then, as we were looking for new movies, certain people who I'm married to...
Me, I found them.
...found a movie called...
Hardflip.
From 2012, and the tagline is... What do you do when your life turns a 180?
Does a 180.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
So what Mike, and this is about a week ago, and what Mikey yelled at me was, we're going to get drunk and watch this movie. And here we are.
All right.
Yeah. So before we kick it off, so normally I read through like a Wikipedia or whatever summary just to help us kind of structure the podcast. Shockingly, Hardflip, the 2012 movie, does not have a Wikipedia entry.
So let's start with the generals. What is Hardflip?
Oh my God. Okay, so you do... Okay, the reason Mikey was so stoked about this movie is that he is a skater boy. She said, see you later, boy.
Womp womp.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Mikey's been a skater for a very long time, and he's still...
I
Okay.
try. I'm terrible. But I've been getting back into it just during quarantine, just to whatever. But
leave the house for 30 seconds at a time.
41-year-old man, and I can't jump anymore, so that makes things difficult.
You're not 41 for another couple weeks.
Okay. But back in the day, I was a pretty avid skateboarder.
Yeah.
When this movie came out,
2012.
That was at the tail end of my prime.
2012? We'd been dating for 2 years in 2012. That absolutely was not 2 years.
It's a long tail.
You were not 33 at the tail end of your prime.
Long tail, I said.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
Math.
I think you're doing some generous work here.
Yeah.
So
I've been drinking.
Just a quick overview. Essentially, this is about a 18-year-old kid, and we're going to talk about that, who... His single mother dies unexpectedly. He becomes reconnected. He becomes reconnected with his absentee father, and then Jesus. Yeah. So
it's a Christian skateboarding movie.
So
this is amazing.
When this movie came out in 2012,
yes.
How old would you guess our actor who is playing an 18-year-old kid was?
I don't think he was any older than most television or movie. I would guess that he's like 25.
31 years old.
Okay.
He is 31 years old.
Awesome. I mean,
playing in...
that was 90210 had 30-year-olds in their cast.
That doesn't make it okay.
That's not uncommon to me.
But 90210 needed people to act over a course of several seasons.
True. You'd think by the time you reach that age, you could act. He can't act.
Cannot act. But he can skateboard, question mark? We're unclear on whether he had a stunt double or not.
He definitely has a stunt double for the tricks, the actual, cutaway skate tricks and stuff.
But he can, ride.
But
right?
Yeah, he seemed fine skating around. Yeah, just riding.
And we're going to get into it, but I really didn't want to leave this too long. The whole thing is that he finds out he knew his father had left for whatever reason. He thought it was because he and his mom had a one night stand and they left. Turns out what it was they were very deeply in love. Mm-hmm. And this is Rosanna Arquette and one of the Dukes of Hazzard.
Bo Duke.
Bo Duke. And I looked that up as well.
He will be, for the record, referred to as Bo Duke for this entire podcast.
Okay, I'm fine with that. So the whole thing was no, we were very deeply in love, but she got pregnant and we were so scared. And I had this internship at an architecture firm, so I just picked that.
What was I going to do? Have an abortion?
Thank God she didn't. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been treated to this movie. I did a little more math. The actors were born in 1959 and 1960. They would have been 34 at the time of conception.
Yeah, that's hard.
It's the age I am now.
Yeah, you're too young. That's like a...
Which is, listen, it's fine. Obviously, I don't have a problem with, like, people having children in their 30s. But to frame it as, like, we were so young and we were so scared, and I had this internship. Mikey, if I came to you and said, I have an internship.
But remember, they had a 34-year-old baby. Or whatever he was, right?
Well, ostensibly, he would have been born in 1992 to be the right age, I think, is what the math I did. I kept saying 1994. I kept saying I'm going to do some math while we were watching this movie.
Yeah, you gave this too much credit.
I mean, listen, the fact that they're like, oh, we were just young and scared, and they were in their mid-30s is wild. Here's another thing. The whole thing is like, his mom is struggling. She's working 2 jobs.
Drinking
she's
vodka out the bottle.
Drinking vodka out the bottle, warm, which is how you know you're an alcoholic in a movie.
And generic pills for the headaches.
Turns out she has inoperable brain cancer.
And was totally fine, and then immediately deathbed sick.
Listen, we don't know. You and I don't know how brain cancer works.
Was it brain cancer?
I think so. But
how would you know?
Yeah. But anyway, the whole thing is like they're barely scraping by. She's working 2 jobs. He never sees, like, at one point in the beginning, he goes home and there's like a note on the fridge that's like, dinner's in the oven. And it's like, kid, you're 18 years and he's mad. He's pouting about it.
Also, that's always a thing. Nobody puts fucking dinner in the oven and just, like, leaves it in the oven.
No, you put it in the fridge and have them reheat it. And give them very detailed reheating instructions because kids are idiots.
Yeah.
Or
but, like, fucking figure it out, buddy.
But that is meant to be our intro to how hard their life is. Meanwhile, A, she has cooked dinner for her son. She just can't be there. B, it's a house nicer than ours.
It's
a really, like...
I think it's
Well, they're renting it. They're renting it. But it's like a really upgraded kitchen, like granite countertops. He has his own, like, it's a nice house. Yeah. So, like, this sort of narrative of, oh, she's barely scraping by so she can afford this $4,000 a month rental is, listen, it's just not great storytelling. I would posit that the people who wrote this have never worked a regular job in their real life, because every time anybody talks about their job, they're just throwing buzzwords around.
Well, it's not even worked a regular job. It's they gave these characters jobs in industries that they know nothing about.
Oh, yeah. The dad who we meet later is an architect, and boy, oh boy, he just yells about staircases.
There's a whole argument with a guy about where... No, I don't want to put the staircase there. I want to put the staircase there.
And when I say goes. There's
an incredible amount of work that goes into, like, where you can structurally build a staircase. Mm-hmm. Like, there's so many, not just like, I'm an artist. It doesn't go there. It goes here.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. It's insane.
Yeah. So, normally when we do these sort of movie in review podcasts, I just cruise on to Wikipedia and get my sort of summary there. Unfortunately, because this doesn't have a...
Are you going to pull audio clips on this one?
No, absolutely. Fuck you. I'm not going to pull audio clips for this. I pull audio clips from our other podcast, and Mikey is spoilt. You can pull them if you want. If you want to learn how to use Audacity. Fucking worst. So what I did a little Googling, and the only place I could find that had a decent summary was movieguide.org, which is...
Listen, we're going to jump all over the place. It doesn't really matter.
No. But I'm just explaining where... Because I'm going to read some of this because it's going to be very good. Because it is movie reviews for Christians.
Perfect.
So we are going to be reviewing a Christian movie using a guide of a Christian website. Michael, what would you guess is the rating for this movie?
What's the scale?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. The, PG-13R.
Oh, 13.
It was 13.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would have said PG.
They think they're
easy.
edgy. They probably tried to give it PG or G, and they were like, no. Can you bump that up? This has got to be edgy. There's drugs in it.
Oh, there is drugs, and then I did forget about the drugs.
Yeah.
Ooh, there are drugs, y'all.
As in, there's a half-lit joint at one point, and then he starts to light a joint at another point. Nothing gets smoked. Nothing gets... Yeah.
Yeah. So, the first note I wrote was, the performances are slightly worse than the web series that you assistant directed.
I think the performances were good in our web series.
That's what I'm saying. These performances were slightly worse.
First thing I wrote was worst sound mix ever.
It was off the bat. Okay, so if y'all haven't listened to Mikey's and my bullshit on the private feed, here's what. Let me introduce you to my husband a little bit. He was a film major, almost has a bachelor's in film from
Look out, ladies.
From Columbia University. No. Columbia College in Chicago.
Where home of the ever famous Janusz Kaminski.
Who?
Boom.
I guess he's Steven.
You know who he is.
Steven Spielberg's cinematographer.
You know who he is.
Yeah. So Mikey is
He's a household name.
Mikey's a big film nerd, and he also is, like I said, a recovering skateboarder. How are your knees now that you're turning 41?
My knees are fine. It's my ankles that are bad.
Once in a while, Mikey will just like do something and just make a noise, and I'm like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah, why?" I was like, "You just made a noise." You're like, "I just make noises now. That's just who I am."
Yeah, it's fine.
So Mikey is going to probably talk a lot more about the technical aspects of the movie, which, because I have been married to him for coming up on 5 years, and we've been together for a long time.
Let's be fair.
Yeah.
I'm going to talk more about the technical aspects of the movie than the creators of this movie did.
That's absolutely
I'm
true.
going to put more effort into making sense of this than clearly they did.
Yeah. I'm finishing my second martini. First and a half martini.
Sure.
And Mikey's had a couple beers. We're doing good. It's Friday night. We've got the freaking weekend. Are you excited, Michael? You're here with me, your wife, your favorite person.
Hardflip.
And we're talking about Hardflip. I'm just going to read this opener from movieguide.org and we can just kind of roll with it. Hardflip is a compelling movie.
Very, very compelling.
With a Christian worldview. Caleb. Oh, by the way, I think every main character in every Christian piece of media has to be named Caleb. Is it a law?
I haven't.
I think the guy from Left Behind was Caleb as well.
I just know that every last name in this movie is like
Jones.
The most generic-y, like their last name is Jones. The dad's last name is like Sanders. Like it's a lot of like, don't worry, we're not going to accidentally be ethnic. Like, this is a white people story. Don't you worry, Christians.
Oofa doofa. Yeah. No, I was wrong. Caleb is not the main character. He's one of the 3 angels of Revelation who's been sent to... Doesn't fucking matter. Who cares? But anyway, they always just have to have, like... It's like Joshua or Caleb or Mark. Anyway, Caleb is an angry, alienated teenage son of a single mom. This movie is the definition of tell, don't show.
Oh, the first 20 minutes of this movie, it might as well have been like a scroll title.
Honestly, they could have trashed the first 35 minutes of this movie and made it a scroll title.
Exposition. I love it.
It's
fucking hilarious. And also, let's go back to just even simpler. A hard flip. Hard flip, the title. It sounds dumb.
It's very dumb.
But I will say, a hard flip is a trick. It is a skateboard trick. It is a legitimate trick. And it's genuinely named a hard flip because it's an incredibly hard trick. As far as, single flip tricks. It's a kick flip. It's a combination of a kick flip and a frontside shove it. So kick flip being what most people know, you jump, flick your foot.
My listeners do not know.
And the board flips over, rotates over like barrel roll style.
Like on its horizontal axis.
Yeah, on its... yes, it flips on a horizontal axis. That's a good clarification. And then a shove it spins on a horizontal axis. So
but it's just 180.
Stays flat. Your wheels are always down, but it spins 180 degrees. The difference is, what makes this hard is that you do a kickflip, so for me, I skate regular footed, which means left foot forward. Okay. So left foot forward, I jump, I kick my foot to my left, my front foot. Okay. That's what causes the board to flip over, the kick flip part, and a front side shove it, which means I push the board to go 180 with my back foot. Okay. So that it spins flat 180. Okay. Those two motions counter each other. Okay. So you can't splay your legs out wide enough to get it to do both of those things simultaneously. Mm-hmm. So it kind of goes up and underneath. But because those two things are kind of in opposition of each other, makes it a hard flip.
And so, just for our listeners' sake, you'll do one tomorrow so I can get it on video.
I've never done a hard flip in my life.
Even when you were like...
absolutely. At my prime.
It's genuinely very hard.
It's a very difficult.
Well, okay. So the thing with being married to somebody who is a big, really into skateboarding is, a lot of times Michael will just, watch skate videos as background noise or whatever. And watching it with him is like watching a foreign language movie of, I understand something happened because Mikey gets really excited, but it all looks the same to me.
I mean, that's like that, I think, with any field. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is the next thing is his mom collapses from brain tumor. So let's talk about the confrontation between
the first one or the second one? The second one where they said we haven't talked in a long time, but yet they talked. No,
the one before that.
Okay.
So he's in his room, which is, by the way, did Vans sponsor this, or were they just not aware?
There's clearly a shitload of Vans product placement, Quicksilver, and Independent.
Can you talk about actually the professional skaters who are in this, or do you want to get to that later?
We'll get to them. There's two, and I'll get to who they are. I don't know if they talk about it, but specifically, but as they appear, there's two. It's Christian Asoy and Brian Sumner, and I'll get a little bit to who they are. Right. But what's weird is that they got a ton of funding clearly from Vans, Quicksilver, Independent.
Genuinely, do they think they got funding, because at one point you pointed out
Vans definitely
for sure. A lot of people.
There's Quicksilver posters and T-shirts and stuff like that. Quicksilver definitely. Somebody had an Independent hat that could have gone either way.
Because you mentioned somebody had a Pink Floyd shirt on.
Yeah, but the Van stuff is made to be seen.
And the difference I'm trying to illustrate a little bit is normally that Pink Floyd thing would be either somebody is paying you to use this logo or you are paying for the permission to do this logo. And I think Pink Floyd did
way under the radar.
Yeah. I think this movie is so bad and so low budge.
Yeah. And then the other big brand that you see a lot of is Hosoi, which is Christian Hosoi's brand. And Christian Hosoi is the one who's in this, which is weird because he's introduced in the movie as Hosoi. So he's...
Were they playing themselves?
Presumably playing himself.
But
all of the guys who skate are wearing Hosoi t-shirts and skating Hosoi boards.
But they're not treating him as if he's there.
He's not their sponsor or a local pro he's just also there. It's super bizarre.
It's very weird.
But there's a ton of Hosoi product placement because Hosoi is in this and a proselytizing Christian.
Mm-hmm. So kind of our first major scene after Caleb has the gutting disappointment of getting home and dinner not being waiting on the table for him. Mm-hmm. He's in his room and he's drawing. And a thing that genuine, and I know this is a dumb thing, a thing that really bothers me is all of the movies about teenagers are almost always about 18-year-olds who are ostensibly seniors. They always clarify that they're 18 because I think they want to be able to get away with more shit. But every movie that's like this is have you decided have you applied to this college yet? Which is shit you do when you're 16, 17.
Or have you heard, they kept asking, have you heard back from art college?
Those art college? It's very, and then she says to him, I wish you'd spend your time doing something, what did you say, more productive, more
respectable
than skateboarding, which, like, I don't know. I thought we were supposed to encourage our young people to have hobbies and things they're passionate about.
Not only that, and I get the, skateboarding is whatever, a dumb hobby.
Mikey's extremely defensive of both skateboarding culture and punk culture.
I get that. But at the same time, like, Tony Hawk's a bajillionaire.
Well, also,
there's a lot of pro skateboarders who are loaded.
But also, the thing is, like, I know there's a stigma, I guess, against skateboarders for whatever reason. But, like, going out to skate is no difference than, like, when I go out to run or go do yoga. Like, it's a hobby I do that keeps me active and busy.
It's just, it still has that association with, like loitering and, like, the bad crew.
Honestly, that's what I was thinking about when, at one point, our hero gets arrested. And because we're sort of in our cultural moment of, like white people are actually understanding how fucking terrible cops are, it just made me realize, like, because you've gotten tickets for skating wherever, and, like, so what the cops are doing is making sure you, a tax-paying citizen, don't use public property that your taxes paid for in a way that they find vaguely annoying.
Mm-hmm. And, so there's a weird fine line with skateboarding, because in most places skateboarding is illegal. A lot of times it's because the places we want to skate are private property, and it's a liability issue is the primary thing. If we put up a sign that says no skateboarding, we enforce it. If you skate there and you hurt yourself, you can sue us. Them making it formally illegal makes it easier to protect yourself against those lawsuits. I get all of that.
Yeah.
It's the fact that it's because of those, it's kind of the same way as, like, pot. I get the problem you have if you, like, smoke pot in a public bar or whatever, like, but, like, yeah, there's people around you, all of those kinds of things, but, like, if you're doing it at home, who gives a shit?
Right.
Skateboarding is kind of the same way. I mean, in that idea of, like, if you're not destroy, because you jump on ledges, and you're breaking up
but
concrete.
At the same time, like, it's fucking public property. The public is using it.
If it's public property,
right? And I'm saying generally on public property. Also, ever since weed was legalized in Illinois, and I bought some, I've been doing a lot of crime. I just haven't told you about it. I'm so sorry.
Doing crime.
Yeah,
I do crimes.
Do crimes.
It's a dumb whatever, but
yeah. So to get
in California, like,
it's stupid. So his mom's trying to get him, quote unquote, back on track, according to the movieguide.org. He's angry at her for never being home, which I don't know. I was a teenager once. I would have loved if my parents were never home.
Fucking A, right?
They were home all the time, and I hated
also, if
it.
like all you want to do is skate,
why do you care?
Why do you give a shit?
Like, because it's not, when he comes home, his mom had left a note, had made dinner for him, and the problem was she wasn't there to, like, sit down with him or serve him. I mean,
every character is written on such a superficial level.
Oh, it's not even two-dimensional, it's one-dimensional. These people are points in time. She's...
But you can tell he cares because you find out what he's drawing is a picture of her.
A very pedestrian picture of her.
I love my mom. My mom is a wonderful person. She did an incredible job in a similar situation, raising children by herself.
But she had 3 children and worked 3 jobs. Yeah. So Rosanna Arquette can suck it.
I drew a lot when I was in high school. I'm never going to draw a picture of my mom just like of her face.
Why not?
It's weird.
I'm going to tell her you said that.
That's fine.
I'm going to text her.
That's fine. It's legit. It's fucking weird. You don't just draw a picture of your mom. And then when she's like, oh, what are you drawing? Like, hide it in a drawer and be like, nothing, it's not done. It's just so fucking dumb. Like...
And I also want to...
Especially someone who's, like, ornery and, like, pissed, like, even if he's legitimately pissed at his mom for shit that you don't see, and, like, he's pissed because she's got a drinking problem or all these fucking things. It's...
Yeah, and so at one point, so they have this conversation in his room. He storms out, obviously, and while he's gone, she finds the drawing, or I don't know what the timeline is. Who fucking cares? She finds the picture of her, and then finds like a half-smoked joint just loose in his drawer.
Yeah.
Which honestly, like, I have a little drawer where I keep my edibles, but could you imagine if you opened it and it was just like loose gummies?
But not even like. Even that makes more sense than a half-smoked joint, just like in the drawer.
And she calls him out on it, and he's like, "Well, you drink," and we know she has a drinking problem again because the only way you know somebody has a drinking problem in a show is if they drink warm vodka straight from the bottle. That's the only way you can tell. It happened in the OC. It's happening here. And so they're arguing, and he's like, "You drink," and she says, "Pot is illegal," which is genuinely the most narky thing I have ever heard in my entire life.
But like, the mindset of Christian, like,
oh yeah,
these fucking right wing, like, it isn't about whether it's bad or good. Morality doesn't fucking matter. Legality does, unless
the legal, unless the government is saying, hey, maybe we should close churches for a fucking second. And they're like, no, how fucking dare you? Laws don't dictate morality.
But it's legal or moral. It's now. You can't change anything. Everything needs to be exactly how it is.
Oh, sure. Well, yeah.
Yeah, don't change it.
No.
Yeah, no,
that's
you can't do that.
Gonna bring the devil.
Yeah.
Oof. Okay. She hears the news from her hospital. Okay, so we see this scene. She's in the car. She gets a call from the hospital, and
who gets it?
When Rosanna Arquette is in the car.
Oh, that was before that.
That was it?
Before that scene.
Okay.
Because that's how you knew she had a thing before she told him. But yeah.
But anyway, at one point so later after this big fight they have, she comes back in. And she's like,
straight to the heart.
We haven't talked in a long time. And I'm like, I don't know, ma'am. You did talk to your son for like 20 minutes yesterday.
About like important shit.
Yeah. Which is more than I've talked to my mother. We have a regular relationship. So they get in a fight.
For that part, I wrote, oh no, the pots.
Yeah. The pots were really going to do the relationship. And this is genuinely might have been my favorite part of the movie. So they get in a fight and he runs and slams the door to his room. Mm-hmm. In his room, he sits down on his laptop, puts in his earbuds, listens to some...
I don't think there's earbuds.
No, there were definitely earbuds.
Was there? Okay.
Yeah. Puts in earbuds, is listening to, like, punk music. What would you call it?
Don't insult punk music.
Okay,
like
what would you call it?
It was, like, bad, like, Papa Roach shit. Like, that,
like rap punk or whatever.
That rap rock fucking late aughts shit.
So he's sitting at his desk listening to whatever garbage he was listening to and watching skate videos, which honestly feels like what young Mikey did when he was really mad.
I mean, I watch skate videos all the time. Because, like, I want to see what... Because watching skate... Like, that's actually one thing this movie kind of got right, is skate videos are it. Mm-hmm. Like, yes, there are competitions and stuff, but, like, the way you watch a basketball game or a football game or whatever, they don't have that for skateboarding. So you want to know what's like the guys you watch like, this is the video part I put out this year for this skateboarder. This skateboarder put out this video part. Right. And that's their like season or whatever. Sure. And so watching skate videos like that is legit. That's something you do. And all of their talk about other skateboarding is, let's get it filmed. Let's get that on camera. All of that is actually like pretty spot on for the scene. Well,
and one of the things that kicks off the movie is he's in a skate park and some guy is filming with his, what was that? You said it was kind of like a Steadicam thing?
Yeah, it's like but
it was like a ring and the camera was
but you get better
suspended.
Grip on it because it's just a small DSLR.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
So if you've got a more stable wide base, you can move it and it doesn't jerk. It works almost like a little like a gimbal Steadicam kind of thing.
And so this guy was filming a bunch of stuff, and Caleb is like, "You're not filming me, are you?" And the guy's like,
"Yeah, you're really good."
Yeah, and he's like, "Don't film me.
I got the #1 skate video on YouTube, bro."
Yeah, which genuinely, like, when they say don't film me, don't take my picture, don't whatever, I've read a lot of romance novels. That's key for, like, my ex-husband is trying to kill me. So, like, that's always what it
Maybe
is.
His ex-husband was trying to kill him.
I don't know his life. So anyway, back to this thing where he's sitting and he's got his earbuds in, he's watching his skate videos after this big fight with his mom, which all seems regular. His mom is at his bedroom door pounding, screaming and pounding on this door.
It's funny when you see Rosanna Arquette is a perfectly capable actress.
Oh yeah, most people know her from The Whole Nine Yards.
Sure. Or Pulp Fiction. She's great. She's hilarious in Pulp Fiction.
Who's she in Pulp Fiction?
I
haven't seen the movie in a grip.
She's the one who John Travolta describes as, she's the one with all the shit in her face. She's got all the piercings and stuff. Person. She's the one who says that is fucking trippy. That whole thing. She's
honestly haven't seen that movie in like 10 years.
Anyway, she's great, but she's a perfectly capable actress.
I like that you use Eric Stoltz as my, like, mooring for Rosanna Arquette, who I actually know. You're like, Eric Stoltz's wife, the guy who got cut out of Back to the Future.
He didn't get cut out of Back to the Future. He was recast.
And what did they do?
Eric Stoltz is a noteworthy actor.
It doesn't matter. Who fucking cares?
Anyway, she's a perfectly capable
actress. We might not
actress,
put this on the main feed.
And this performance is so... It's like, okay, I like what you're doing. That's bad. That's a bad performance. Can you make it twice that?
Yeah.
And then just bigger and badder.
Instead of knocking on the door, can you throw your whole body against his door?
I was looking down because I was, I think, taking a note or looking something up or whatever, and then she was just on the floor.
Yep.
And I had to ask you because I didn't know. I thought she had slammed her head into the door. And knocked herself out because that seemed like a reasonable, next level of what she was doing.
Really and truly,
turns out she just had a seizure or something and collapsed.
Yeah, really and truly, it's one of those things that, like, if you're watching, you're like, oh, she's so upset, she's trying to get it. And if you take a half a step away from the situation, her son is sitting in his room watching videos, and she's just beating the fuck out of his door, screaming and crying. It's a truly wild performance.
She is absolutely the villain of this story.
Well, she's the villain because she was a single mother and got knocked up out of wedlock. That's honestly I wrote that down. That's like my thesis for this whole movie is she's the villain because she got knocked up out of wedlock, and now all the things she does to support her son.
And the man loved her still. Mm-hmm. Even so.
But all the things she does to support her son make her a bad guy. Right? Because she worked 2 jobs to keep a fucking roof over his head. Yeah. She feeds him.
You need to keep the roof over his head, but not
But she needs a husband to make that money because women working is bullshit. Which, honestly, let's bring that back. I have worked for like 3 weeks straight. It's the worst. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden she has a seizure. He pulls out his earbuds, discovers her. They go to the hospital.
With the perfect... Mom? So
Mom?
good.
One day he goes to the hospital and starts searching for clues to how to keep his life together through her papers. So she has, as we all do, boxes of letters.
Most of the boxes were just lots of boxes.
You're right. Most of the boxes had nothing.
They were she has lots of boxes.
Just, you know how women are.
Hat boxes.
We fucking love boxes. Yeah. The only time I had a lot of boxes is when I subscribed to Birchbox for like 2 years, and I had 24 of those like weird little I literally bought...
cute boxes.
Yeah, but what am I supposed to fucking do with them? I bought picture frames for friends specifically to fit in those boxes so I could get through it without feeling guilty. And so he's like trying to figure out his life, and apparently he's 18. He can just go home. He's a fucking adult. He's an adult man. And then he comes across a love letter from his father.
So before we go there, we've seen a little bit of this father. We don't know who he is. We just know he's this hard-nosed architect guy.
So we've been introduced to a white guy.
Yeah, and he's got this big, ritzy California house that looks out over...
With a driving range.
Yeah, well, he's just got like a little T-spot on the edge. And he just slugs golf balls. This is the best. So picture a golf swing. You end up in your backswing where it's over his shoulder. He holds it and then does this like sweet like drop the club move and swings around and grabs it with the other hand. It's the dumbest thing that they were like, this is going to be cool.
Honestly, though, if like somebody cool had done it, I would have been like, like if you had done it, I'd be like, that's pretty dope. It reminds me of like the bat flip thing that guys do sometimes, that baseball players do.
Sure.
Like it's just dumb, but it's fun.
If you're making a golf movie, maybe.
We had to show how this guy was cool, though, right? Isn't that important to his character?
No, we hate this guy still.
Yeah,
right?
we do hate this guy.
He had it made no sense.
Okay, hear me out, Mikey. The club is a metaphor for his relationship with his son, and he let go because it seemed... My Siri just tried to explain what was going on to me. It was easier for him to let it go and pick it up later than it would have been to guide the club all the way back.
So Rosanna Arquette is in the hospital.
So she's in the hospital. She's in a coma. There is a doctor who is the same age as our main character.
I'm pretty sure it's Doogie.
Like genuine. And now that I know the guy was 31,
but it's hard to tell
it tracks.
because it's the worst lit scene in the history of cinema.
So this script is garbage. The acting isn't very good, but honestly, like the technical shit in this movie,
everything is lit in a way that's like, oh, I wish I could see that guy's face. I can see every fucking thing else. But I can't. It's like intentionally designed to be lit to show you the things you don't care about.
So the first time we see
bad.
the dad on his weird golf course, so he has a putting green, and then in front of it he has a little T spot, like you said, and it goes into the ocean. And the shot that they show is from the other side of the putting green, so we're seeing like his right shoulder, right? Like we're facing the ocean. And the whole putting green is like lit brilliantly. There's like a random flag in the bottom third of our shot.
They can put lights on the other side of the brick wall that's there. They didn't
But we can't see that dude.
Yes, and it's so bad. And then all of the hospital stuff, they wanted to go for this like not just fluorescent lights, but you brought it up, but you mentioned the Fincher thing where like Fincher does fluorescent lights in this like greenish hue. Look at like all the office scenes in Fight Club or the stuff he does.
Seven.
Yeah, a lot of stuff like
Zodiac.
But especially the fluorescent lights he puts us, and they went for that effect.
So everything was just
and it looks
yellow green.
The problem is nothing is lit.
Yeah, you can explain what that means because I
mean like it's all done in color grading in post production where they just tweak colors and make it look a little different and give it that look. But the problem is like everything is lit at you. There's no like if you're going for a fluorescent look, it needs to be lit from overhead. That's where the fluorescent lights are coming from. But everything is lit from like a tripod level facing you.
Okay.
So light is at you, not on you.
Oh, okay.
And so, but the problem is they're blasting these lights. Nothing is on the people's face. So like you've got like a really bright white jacket, or like doctor's jacket.
Which I'm always looking for.
But you can't see his fucking face.
Yep.
Like it's like it feels like they just didn't have enough lights. A lot of this movie feels like, okay, we've got 3 lights for this scene. Where do you want to put them?
Right.
And okay.
Yeah, it does feel like they had limited resources and picked all.
And
listen,
fine.
Neither of us is going to dog anybody for like a low budget movie.
That's you do what you got to do to try to get it, but like then you buy one big fucking ring light and light every. Don't try to make it look like this cool thing. They were trying to stylize it, and you don't have the resources to do that.
So the doctor is 9 years older than the actor who played the young man. He was waiting on. So he...
The young man he was waiting on. What the fuck does that
mean? No, it's Caleb. Remember how we were saying Caleb and the doctor were the same age? The actor who plays the doctor is actually 9 years older than the actor who plays Caleb. So they're not the exact same age, but close enough that it made me...
The problem was that the doctor was just, like, camped out in Rosanna Arquette's room.
This doctor, like, I've never seen...
You don't have rounds to make? You don't have other fucking patients? You just, like, chilling out in Rosanna Arquette's
Not
room
only was this doctor only dedicated to Rosanna Arquette, when we were introduced to him...
Never said what was wrong with her. Never
said...
Brain
cancer, Michael.
Never said... But they didn't say that.
I think they did. I couldn't have made that up.
The kid says cancer to the dad once.
Oh.
But doesn't say what kind of cancer. The doctor never tells... He says... he just keeps saying, like, she's out of it. Sure. You should come back later.
She can hear you.
Yeah, all of it is so fucking vague.
There's a really big theme through a lot of Christian movies that are, if somebody's in a coma, they can defo hear you. Because that's the only way people can, like, express, like, only way usually men can express feelings for other people is if that person is in a coma. Okay, so... Caleb comes across love letters from her father who didn't want the responsibility of a son but has been sending checks every month, which his mother never cashed.
Sure.
Which, I'm sorry, Rosanna Arquette,
yeah.
I get pride, but if you're about to be evicted...
And apparently they loved each other. Like, that's why she's such...
It's a truly wild turn of events.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's literally like if I'm 34 right now, and if I got pregnant right now, and you were like... I can't have a child. I don't have the time for this responsibility. And you left. And like, well, I don't know, dude, like in your 30s, you should either...
You keep looking at the age that the actors are, and I don't think that's relevant. Like, everyone is clearly playing 10, 15 years younger.
Yeah.
Like, that's, I can't, the 34 thing is no relevance, I don't think. I think they're supposed to be playing young people.
They look like they're in their like 40s, like in their 50s and 60s.
Right, but I don't think they're supposed to be.
That's on them, not me.
It is.
I shouldn't have to do this much work for this dumb movie.
Right, which is why I'm surprised that you did it.
I did math. So he finds out his father is a wealthy architect developer. He breaks into his office. Hey, movieguide.org. I wouldn't say breaks into his office. I say he went in and asked for him.
He walked in and talked to the receptionist. And said, hey, I'd like to speak to this guy. And she was like, yeah, who are you? You need an appointment.
And then he opens the door, and she does the thing that every secretary does. I'm so sorry, I tried to stop him.
Yeah.
Which is, man, I bet if you're like a 24-year-old actress trying to make it in Hollywood, every one of your lines is, I'm so sorry, sir, I tried to stop him. He just barged in. That's not a judgment on young women trying to be actors. That's a judgment on the way Hollywood treats young women as actors.
Note taken.
Was that clear?
Sure.
Okay. So he finds his father.
I feel like since this is a Christian site, we have skipped over all of the skateboarding.
Oh, that's absolutely correct. It's your job to keep us...
I know. I'm just saying, I keep waiting for like
moments. They're not going to say skating montage in this because that's not plot driven.
That's okay. So let's go back to, first of all, Christian Hosoi.
Yeah, let's do that.
Christian Hosoi is the name in this movie. Christian Hosoi is...
More so than the British guy?
Yeah, Christian Hosoi is... Like, honestly, if you made, Mount Rushmore of pro skateboarders...
Which I'm going to.
There's a good chance Christian Hosoi is on there. Like,
the only thing I know about him is he invented the Jesus jump.
Christian Hosoi invented the Christ Air.
Jesus jump.
Why did it... who called it that?
It was a bit
some podcast or something
on the McElroys, and they called it. They were talking about Tony Hawk Pro Skater,
right?
And they called it Jesus Jump, and that's all I will call it.
Yeah, so
now.
Christian Hosoi invented a trick called a Christ Air, which is. It's funny that he invented it.
Because it's kind of blasphemous.
I'll get into who Christian Hosoi is, and Christian Hosoi says he was a young kid, but he invented a Christ Air, which is a ramp trick. It's a vert trick. I guess you could. If you could do it on the street, cool, but that'd be very, very hard.
Can you kind of give a really high-level understanding of ramps versus street skating?
Yeah, so street skating is when you skate stairs, handrails, ledges, flat ground, things like that, where you are pushing into everything with your foot to get momentum.
You're generating all your...
Yeah, you jump, you do your trick, you skate up to a handrail, you skate up to some stairs, jump down them, things like that. Ramp skating or vert skating, pool skating, all of those things are you drop in to a half pipe or a pool.
This, I feel like people, when they think about skateboarding, this is what a lot of people think about. It's like that would be my guess.
I mean, Tony Hawk, yeah. So
like when you watch the X Games,
yeah,
that seems to be what they say.
I mean, they do. It's still considered street, like the ramps that they skate in like the X Games for the street competition, quote unquote, is still like
it's skate park.
Yeah, it's a skate park. Where
I guess if I'm imagining somebody thinking of a professional skateboarder, they're thinking of like skating up a ramp and doing anything where they touch the lip and like do a cool pose.
Sure. I mean, yeah. So back
like
in
this.
the day, back in the early, so Christian Hosoi was born in probably like the 60s, late 60s.
Was he part of the Dogtown crew?
No, he's a little older than that.
Which,
but
by
he
the
grew
way,
up with like
Dogtown and Z-Boys is an
excellent
amazing documentary. Even if you don't care about skating, it's a
yeah.
really, really, truly great doc.
He grew up in the crew of they call it the Bones Brigade, but that was like a lot of like the Tony Hawk type people, like that, the boom of pool skating and the birth of competition skating. So the Dogtown guys are the guys who birthed skateboarding in its origins and created it, and was like, hey, you can do
it went
tricks.
from being sort of a simulation of surfing
Right.
to
and then there was a big California
its own
drought.
art form.
There was
Everybody
a huge
drained.
drought in California. Everyone had to drain their pools. And so skateboarders were like, hey, this is kind of like a big concrete wave. We'll roll in and skate it. And then they started learning that. And then Tony Hawk and that whole generation started turning into competitions and made custom pools and stuff that you could skate on purpose.
I kind of want to watch Dogtown this weekend.
Okay. And it's great. They do, they learn all the skateboarding and pools and ramps and stuff like that.
They elevate the sport.
Christian Hosoi was one of that clan. He invented a trick called the Christ Air, which is you ride up the wall, you spit out of the top of the pool wall or the half pipe wall, and grab your board with your hand, pull it out from under your feet, and literally just pose like Christ. So you've got your feet together, arms apart in, perfectly.
As if one was being crucified.
Exactly. And you're holding your board with your hand, and then you put it back under your feet before gravity brings you back into the
whole. It's about grabs and shit like that. Is the thing I've learned.
And it's oddly, it's called the Christ Air because Christ was one of Christian Hosoi's nicknames because his name is Christian.
I don't get it.
So Christian Hosoi got brought up on as he got older, fell into some dark shit, got brought up on some random small charges, evaded the law.
Born again guy?
For a while. And then, that's why he didn't join X Games or anything like that when that was a thing, is because he didn't want to draw the attention to himself because he was a wanted man.
No.
And then they picked him up at an airport in Hawaii or something, with a shitload of crystal meth.
Oh,
and then he was in prison for a while and found Jesus and came back and skates for the Lord now.
Yeah. That's why he's in this very good movie.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to cut back to the scene where Caleb, big quote fingers, breaks into his dad's office.
Real quick, though.
Yeah.
So that's who Christian Hosoi is. So they meet him, and so he makes his appearance. He does some skating. Sets up who kind of the villain skaters are, but in between each scene, they have these skate montages, which is Caleb blowing off his steam and stuff. So this is all the skateboarding that this summary is bypassing.
Every time this main character gets upset, Mikey would just yell, "I'm gonna blow off some steam by skating,"
and then we get a skate montage.
He literally does exactly
that.
that.
I will say, the skating is legit.
Yeah,
it's accurate, real skateboard. I mean, outside of the fact that everyone lands everything.
That's not how skateboarding works.
Yeah,
because understand the only equivalent I have is horseback riding, and if in horseback riding 90% of the shit we did everybody fell, we would all be straight up dead.
It's the difference from like
that was a joke,
right? But it's the difference of like it's skateboarding is there's certain tricks you can do regularly, whatever, and some are better than, but like if you can do all of these tricks all the time always, either step up your game and do harder stuff, or you're pro.
Yeah.
Like that. There's a reason these guys can land every trick over and over again, and they go pro for it.
Right.
And if this kid is this, like, that's what's funny is when they're like, you got to pick something reputable. He's skating at a pro level right now. He can make a living doing this. Like, it's not like he's this shitty kid who's just struggling to try to, like...
And the thing is, this plot could have been, I think, improved if the character of Caleb was being approached by sponsors. And he's telling his mom, I want to go pro. I'm getting the sponsorship. Sure. And she's like, no. You have to go to college and do something else. And that is a scenario that makes a lot of sense to me.
Instead of... hey, stop filming me. Well, but sponsors want to see you skate. That's how you can go pro. Stop filming me.
Doesn't make any... And then he tells his mom, sponsors want me. Like,
everything he does is anti-progression of a career.
Because I think this movie weirdly frames skating as kind of... No, I was going to say the big bad, because it doesn't. Because at the end, his victory is doing his backside... fuck it, whatever it is. What is it?
He does a hardflip backside lip.
But
which is,
so that's like his redeeming
incredibly difficult.
Mikey was very impressed.
But he does it on a Jesus board.
I just have so many. We're Mikey. We're not even close. We're already an hour into this show. Don't worry.
You can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this by yourself as a punk skateboarder. You have to do this with the Lord.
You're wearing a red baseball cap backwards.
You have to do this with the Lord. Yeah,
no, we're going to get to that. Do not stomp on that. So he breaks in his... Oh, my God, we're still on that same scene. So the father, before we even meet... We had the introduction of Caleb and the father. The father is like an architecture guy. And he has this sort of underling who just got promoted, who is... another blonde white guy who looks like in his early 30s. Like, I feel like every guy felt like they're in their early 30s.
They're all just buddies. They're all from the same congregation.
And he's right. And he's constantly like, oh, Daddy's bringing us a chipmunk. And dropping it 12 feet away from me. That's cool as usual.
Social distancing. Good girl.
His new underling, he says, oh, we have to do this right now. And he's like, well, I have to go. I have a family. And he's like, families don't matter. Architects matter. Or whatever.
And he has that, but like this moment. Like,
well, he does
You know what? I realized my family is important. Huh.
And meanwhile, the dad is doing the, like, basically the greed is good speech. He's just like, yeah. And he's like, I promised my son I'd go to this baseball game. And he's like, baseball? You think baseball matters? You know what matters? Architecture. Or whatever. And so the guy quits. And man, our dad guy really has some shit to think about priorities in life. You know what I mean? And I'm always saying this to you. Like, sometimes you sign off from work instead of at 5 o'clock at like 5:10. And I'm like, Michael, your dog and myself are being neglected.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So we know the dad is a workaholic and is an asshole. And I don't know, probably was a fucking Nazi because he drove around in the Duke car. Caleb.
It's called the General Lee, Jessica. It's the Dukes of Hazzard car.
It just didn't age well, you know?
You don't think?
So Caleb goes home and he gets an eviction notice and he owes $3,200 in back rent.
But don't worry.
Yeah.
Because the the skate down is coming. the photographer video guy man told him about the skate down, which is coming, and apparently it costs $400 to enter.
Hey, Mikey.
Uh-huh.
You're a pretty experienced skateboarder. What's a skate down?
It's $400 to enter, and at the end of it, you're sponsored first. That's one thing, and there's a $3,000 prize.
That sounds like multi-level marketing.
They
just give us
They drop the nutshell of the skate down coming up.
Oh my god!
Several times at the beginning and all the kind of skate sequences. My assumption is that it was like any of those old 80s skate movies, like or the Hell Track thing from Rad, which is the BMX movie. Like this big competition that every local skateboarder is going to be at. Well, all of the sponsors are there to watch you.
I think also the challenge with doing a movie about skateboarding is there's no like race. There's no like I won, you lost.
Well, that's why the assumption is there's a big competition. The skate down is a big competition of some kind. Okay, cool. Ready for the skate down to happen. The skate down apparently is just 7 or 8 dudes line up. The guy says go, and then they skate. Some of them are seemingly going for speed. Mm-hmm. Some of them are like doing big tricks over garbage cans, and
which are laid on their side, which is handy.
No. The one guy ollied an upright, like,
oh.
All that's gonna do is slow you way the fuck down. Like, is this a speed competition?
Is this style
Is it
points?
A race?
Who's the judge?
There's nobody there watching this.
Because it's like on a street, so it's not like they're going down a loop. Like they just leave.
Why the fuck would you be guaranteed a sponsorship?
It really had shades of we're going to lose the rec center unless we put on the best damn show anyone's ever seen.
But like, the best show is for people to see. Mm-hmm. It's just the skateboarders. Mm-hmm. The one guy's there with a camera. Maybe I'm going to put this video out somewhere, and then you just get sponsored.
Who's Asian, we should know. There's a sea of white people, and then there's this guy's Asian, and there's a black homeless guy that we're going to come back to.
I forgot to look at the credits, and I looked at them in IMDb, and it only has like the credited characters. I meant to look and see who this the stunt skaters are.
I didn't see that.
I want to go back and see that. I want to see because there's real skateboarding, so they obviously got some pros in to do tricks. Mm-hmm. But point being, what I wrote down was that the skate down? What the fuck is a skate down? Because what the fuck was that?
And what's the answer?
It was just one scene of people going down, and then they're like...
It's like a sidewalk, too. It's
and
not
then they're like
a
slaloming like tree planters.
Yeah.
But not everyone is doing that? So it's not even like, oh, this is the course?
Well, you thought at first they were playing, like, horse.
That's what I thought it was either a competition, like a full-on, like, big sanctioned competition, the winner gets a sponsorship, or it was like a game of skate. We call it skate. Mm-hmm. It's horse, like a basketball horse.
I do a kickflip. Can you do a kickflip?
Yeah, you go back and forth.
I do a trick. Front side
you do a
shove
trick.
it. Can you
Which
do a
is
front
kind
side
of what they do
shove
at the end of this.
I do an ollie. Can you do an ollie? I'm just going to name all of the skating shit I know.
They basically do that at the end.
I do a Jesus jump. Can you do a Jesus jump?
But they basically do that at the end. So I thought maybe that's what the skate down would be. And then it just is this, like, utter rambling of skateboard tricks.
It's nonsense.
But tricks or going fast. Like, some guys are, like, crouched to try to get as much speed. What the fuck happens? And then all of a sudden, like, he jumps off a thing, runs into the camera guy, is laying on the ground, and then all of a sudden is arrested.
Yeah. The fuzz gets them.
He's arrested for felony vandalism, which is, like... You just like it's usually in tandem with like arson.
Yeah.
And like you destroy, like heavy amounts of damage.
Yeah, I did look that up, and it's like if you destroy something that's valuable enough, which ostensibly he was just skating down the sidewalk, so I'm not sure.
Right.
If their sidewalks were damaged by a skateboard rolling down it, maybe like LA needs to look into their city code.
It was amazing.
But he forged his mother's signature on a check to get that entry fee so he could do the skate.
Christian check fraud, we call that.
What's it? Skate
down.
Skate down. They stage a contest, trespass on private property. He's arrested by a policeman. I'm kind of obsessed with the writing in this movieguide.org, and I'm going to read all of it verbatim. So he gets arrested. There are two cops that act real good, and they say, you can call someone.
The woman who played like the
cop?
Yeah, but like the facility.
The cop with the ponytail?
Yeah, she was actually good. I felt like
think?
I thought she was actually pretty good.
And they're like, you can call someone. He's like, I have no one to call. Because ostensibly, this guy who's 18 years old has such a shitty life that now that his mom's in a coma, he has no one else in his life. Well, also,
like, every time someone comes up to him and be like, hey, dude, you're a really good skater, like,
fuck you,
don't film me, Like,
he doesn't have friends. He doesn't have...
On purpose.
He doesn't... His mom doesn't have any family.
Well, there's the magic homeless black man.
We're going to get to him. The magic
that
people of color in this are
frequently.
pretty tragic. So he says, I have no one to call. And then he decides to call his dad. His dad pays his bail. And then they're driving home together. And there's this wild interaction between them where the dad is like...
I don't know what got into you.
Lecturing his son as if like, I didn't raise you like that.
Why the fuck do you care?
Sir, you met this grown-ass 18-year-old man 2 days ago. You don't know where this came from. Like, to me, if the kind of guy who would ditch his girlfriend when he was pregnant would then pick him up from gym and be like, fuck yeah, dog! Like, what the fuck did you do? Fuck the police! And then he, like, jumps out of the car. It's just, like, all of a sudden this, like, hyper-paternalistic relationship that they have, which is garbage. And then Caleb gets home, and he finds his mom's warm vodka.
But is she
wasn't dead yet.
No?
I don't think so.
Did we skip over that?
I mean, who fucking knows? I didn't write this thing.
Because I think, did we just straight up skip over
the fact that she
died? Because I feel like that's why he was burdened with the eviction stuff, is because she's dead.
Well, she dies at some point. Movieguide.org doesn't care. We don't either.
She dies. Also, you got fucking Rosanna Arquette to be in this movie.
And she was in a scene and a half and then laid in a
hospital bed. And then laid in a bed for 3 more scenes.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
They probably paid her scale, too. Like, she deserves better than that. I like Rosanna Arquette. She had a really good, weird French-Canadian accent in the whole 9 yards. That's the only point I have to know who she is. So, okay, so he tries to commit suicide. So he finds his mom's warm vodka, drinks it out of the bottle, like all first time.
I want to go back a little, because I've got that written after the funeral scene.
Okay. So let's go to the funeral scene.
We just straight up skipped over the fact that she died.
Death doesn't seem important to movieguide.org.
She died off camera.
Mm-hmm.
There's also, we skipped over the part where he goes into the thing and she's like, well, I don't know, can't figure out. And then he takes the picture. He finished the picture that he was drawing of her and taped it on the wall next to her bed.
I think I was playing Candy Crush at that point.
But anyway, she dies at some point, and then there's a funeral with like 6 people.
Conveniently, half of them are black or Asian.
Oh, no.
No?
There was a black man and an Asian man.
Okay, but 6 people, that's... Anyway, this woman had no fucking friends or coworkers.
And one of them is her kid, and one of them is the ex-lover or whatever.
Is this when he comes in his new costume? No, that's not when he comes in his new costume.
So this is the part where he just... Like, typically, if you're going to burst out of a funeral, there's usually something
And I am.
there's something that's said at the funeral that is a triggering point. Mm-hmm. He just, at one point, was like, I've had enough. No, the kid.
Oh, the kid?
And he walks away. And then the dad sees him. And it's like, whoa. And he goes chasing after him.
What a troubled young boy.
Yeah. And they have their conversation about whatever. And the kid says, and this is one of my favorite parts, is that the kid says, when I was 7, all of our dads came to school to talk about their professions. But I didn't have a dad. I had to tell him you were an astronaut and you were away. And he, for the 11 subsequent years, has gone on believing that the rest of his class believed him.
Nailed
that his dad was an astronaut and was out in space.
Airtight.
There's a million lies you can tell about why your dad can't make it.
I would say
an astronaut is the least fucking believable.
But I would say beyond that, like, it's not like this movie takes place in the 1960s. Like, ostensibly, if I did my math right, he was born in 1994. So when he made this lie, it would have been at least 2001. People had single parent households in 2001.
It's a weird
pretty
random
commonly.
Christian acknowledgement of science, which I'm not really believable.
Oh, that's a bit of a stretch for me.
No? You don't think so?
I don't think. I think astronauts feel like a pop culture thing outside of science.
Okay.
Would be my
right.
thought.
Point being,
yeah.
It's
the
a
astronaut
ridiculous
thing,
conversation.
Mikey, there were a few line reads.
Oh, with the pinched fingers part?
Oh, yeah. There are a few line reads in the show that we both had to rewatch because the other person was not paying the appropriate amount of attention.
Yeah.
So Caleb tries to commit suicide by taking pills. And when I say pills, I don't know what they were. Prescription pills.
With vodka.
Which, if you went upstairs, I have, like, prescription prenatal vitamins. I have prescription...
You ever taken that shit with vodka?
I'm going to tonight.
What?
Allergy medication. Neither
they
of
were
which...
for her headaches. That's all we knew about them.
I guess we're probably assuming they're, like, opiates, right? Like... But they don't.
I
they don't care.
We might be assuming that. I think the people who made this movie did not think about it. Mm-hmm. They were drugs bad.
Yeah.
Drugs equals bad.
Drugs bad. Weed bad. Vodka, not the worst. Warm vodka out of a bottle.
And he does the super awesome dramatic, like, pill bottle in hand.
Fucking.
Slightly opens his grasp and the pills fall out.
It's truly the worst. The dad shows up to the house. I don't know how he got the address. I don't know how he sensed his son was in trouble.
Well, we know how he got the address because before he got into the vodka and the pills, he calls the landlord and starts to say, like, I'm sorry, we've got this we're having trouble paying
rent this month.
We're having a problem trying to pay rent this month. What do you mean?
Who paid our rent?
Oh, but they don't. But he doesn't even say who paid our rent. We had to piece that together ourselves. So
I guess that triggered his suicidal tendencies. Like it genuinely. I mean, it's just Christian people thinking like, okay,
nothing
what's
is triggered
bad?
by anything.
Yeah.
Nothing is a cause and effect.
Right.
It's just here's the next pop point.
So his dad shows up just in time, gets him in his car, calls not 911. Not just genuinely an ambulance, but calls the one doctor we've seen in Rosanna Arquette's hospital room, who I guess owed him a favor, ? Which,
big time.
Fuck, what did this man do for this doctor?
He paid all the medical bills. Why
does the doctor give a fuck about the medical bills?
Jessica.
Why would the doctor owe him a favor? He doesn't have anything to... It's not like the medical bills are going in his pocket. He's salaried.
Did you see that place? It's not a real hospital. There's only one doctor who works there.
And so they end up back at the dad's house, who, once again...
has a sweet movie theater room.
Mikey was extremely jealous of this movie theater. Even though I would argue we have a very similar, smaller scale movie theater in our basement. Yeah, it's better because he's a millionaire, Michael.
Well,
do you want to worry about where stairs go on a house? Because that's
I
how
know
you
where
make
the stairs go, Jessica.
Wherever I want them to go.
Where I put them, I'm the artist.
Oh my God, we forgot. He does this monologue the dad does to his underling who he hates about like, when I was young, I loved art and I would draw all the time. And then I realized art is nothing without a wall to hang it on. So I became an architect. And it was just like capitalist bullshit, honestly. It was like, what's my art doing because it's not holding up a roof? Art is useless unless it's like physically helping somebody. Fuck this guy.
In the form of a film.
God, it's so bad. So his dad finds him. The doctor says he should be okay. You found him just in time. And then he does our dad does a long walk down this very narrow hallway.
This is one of the scenes I made you rewatch because you missed it.
Because I wasn't paying attention. He just found out he knows his ex-lover is dead. The mother of his child is dead. His son tried to kill himself, but he's going to be okay. So he's just gonna
sleeping it off right now.
Lot to contemplate. There it is. And so he walks down this absurdly long and narrow hallway, and the left side of the hallway is full of big framed pieces of art. And so it's just from the back of the hallway, and he's just walking slowly. And then at one point he just stops, looks at one of the paintings, gently adjusts the frame, and keeps walking. And this movie is almost 2 hours, and this is the bullshit that's why.
Jessica.
Yeah.
What is art if there's no wall to hang it on?
Fuck this movie.
What about, did we get to the part where he brings the secretary girl, like
on a
the receptionist? Date? No. Whoever that was. I don't even know who that was. That had nothing to do with anything.
At one point he goes, the dad goes on a date with this woman who was sitting at a table waiting for him.
Some beautiful random British
gorgeous woman. She's sitting at the table. She says, I ordered us a bottle of wine.
He puts his arm on her shoulder, talks on a phone call.
Takes a phone call. There's an architect emergency. Which I made fun of him. Apparently, Mikey said there are real architect emergencies.
There can be. I mean, it's a weird.
Is it about where the staircase goes?
No. I mean, yeah.
And then he is like, gotta go, gets up and leaves. And so ostensibly, homegirl drank an entire bottle of Pinot Noir, which I kind of respect. I like that about her.
But no, what I was talking about is later when they're looking. He brings the receptionist into his office, and he's looking at her. He's like, look out this window with me. What do you see? Buildings?
I definitely was not paying attention. I was actively angry.
And then it was just like this whole weird rant about like, but what if they were all just walls and maybe some windows? Then what would it be? I don't know. Ugly. It was just like, what? It was... it tried to be like poetic or something.
It made no fucking sense.
And just absolutely idiotic. And had nothing to do with skateboarding.
Well, that's the biggest sin.
This whole movie, should have been a skate video. Could have been a skate video.
So that's sort of where this leaves off. But there's still a few more things to happen. But I just don't remember them. So something happens, and then he ends up...
he wakes up in like silk pajamas and leaves the kid after... What are you doing?
I'm just... Nothing. I'm sorry. Somebody asked me if somebody actually did a Hardflip in this movie, and I said yes, and I was excited about it.
So he wakes up from the bed or whatever, and then needs to figure some shit out. So he goes out skateboarding.
That's how he works out his emotions.
He's having a rough outing, though. He's not landing anything. Oh, my
God. I'm so excited about this.
He's doing, like... He's on this, like, loading dock. He's, like, jumping over...
Is that, like, a regular skate spot?
I've skated loading docks sometimes. I mean, anything with, like, drops and things.
Can I
He's
also
going
say...
up over, like, dumpsters and stuff.
I love my husband more than anything else. There's one Wendy's in Naperville that every time we drive by it, he tells me about how he skated the Gap at Wendy's, and I swear...
It's across the street from the Wendy's, and it's the A.G. Edwards Gap.
And he landed it once, but nobody was there to see it. And we've been married 5 years and together almost 11. And I've heard that story so many times.
The Wendy's Gap I've done and I've got on a photo of.
Honestly, I would actually actively murder you if you told me that story again.
So it was. So what happened? So it's a gap that like has dropped.
You think I'm not serious? You think I think being recorded is going to stop me from committing murder?
Also, someone saw it.
Who?
The dude who was coming out of the Pizza Hut.
Okay, keep going.
He stopped and applauded. I'm just saying.
Keep talking about that.
So Caleb is skating and he's just too much on his
Honestly,
mind.
this is like one time in college I did a triple pirouette, and I'm a terrible turner. And it's like if I kept telling you about the one time I did a triple pirouette once a month for the rest of our lives. Do you want me to do that?
It's fine.
Go ahead.
Are you proud of it?
Yeah, I told an Olive Garden employee that I did it because he asked how my day was going. I said, very good.
See?
I just did a triple.
See?
Yeah, but that was...
You're allowed to be proud of your accomplishments.
But it's not that impressive because most dancers can do triples. I was just a not very good dancer.
So?
Okay, finish your story.
You tell me that story.
Oh, it's literally, I was in a ballet class and I did a triple pirouette and I'm a terrible turner and that's the end of the story. It was to the right. It was an outside pirouette to my right.
Was it in succession with anything or was it just like
no,
by itself?
It was just a strong prep and I did a triple and I landed it and was like, okay, I landed a triple.
And what does that entail?
It's just 3 turns in a row.
In the air?
No.
Or
like when you think of somebody,
do you put
like
a foot down in between each turn, or is it?
It's just like so imagine this is a piqué. Is this?
This is great radio.
No, I know. But it's this.
Okay.
So you have 1 foot on the ground and 1 foot at your knee.
Uh-huh.
And then you just turn 3 times. And most people do that
But you never change from that position.
No, it's just momentum and balance. Okay. And I had neither.
That's awesome.
It is awesome, but it is not something I should...
Are you a professional dancer bragging about that? No. Was I a professional skateboarder bragging about that or like being excited? No. But it's my step closer to that field, so you're allowed to be proud of those things.
Okay, well, you're not allowed to make me look like an asshole on my own fucking podcast, Michael.
I'm not.
I'm
just
sure?
saying. I'm trying to make you proud of yourself.
I'm not proud of myself as a terrible dancer.
You know who shouldn't be proud is Caleb.
Yeah.
He was having a rough day.
Tie back.
He couldn't skate, too much on his mind or whatever, and he was skiing. And then he lands hard at one point, sits up on a curb, pulls out a joint, puts it to his mouth, pulls out a lighter, and there's a silhouette figure in the back who's like, do you think that's going to help?
Also, this guy knows nobody. Where is his weed hookup?
You saw it at one point. He bought
Did
it.
he?
He bought it from the bad skateboarders who hang out by the Jersey Wall.
Who don't like
thing.
him but still will sell him weed?
It was like buddies. It was the other dudes who were hanging out at that Jersey Wall all the time.
Oh, okay. I don't care.
So he's about to light up, and then there's a shadowy figure in the background who says some bullshit like, do you think that's going to help you land your tricks or whatever? And he looks up, and then the guy skates into the light, jumps down off the parking or like the loading dock thing or whatever, and like, oh shit, this is Brian Sumner, like
who's apparently a
perfectly mediocre pro skateboarder that some people recognize. I knew him because he had a really good part in One Step Beyond, which was an audio video from the late 90s.
An audio video?
Audio. It was a shoe company.
Audio?
ADIO.
Okay.
It was a shoe company.
I thought you were just saying audio. Really weird.
No, audio.
And also I thought it was weird that there's an audio skateboarding video.
Right. It's just, you just listen to the sound. Oh, that sounded like a heel flip. Maybe a switch. Maybe switch heel flip. I don't know. So he talks to him, and he's like, you know, some whatever. I honestly don't even remember what he says.
I cannot be clear enough. It doesn't matter.
It's bullshit about shit that gets you through, whatever, yada, yada, yada.
Do we have to
and
do
then
And sometimes I would turn to smoking or drinking or drugs or whatever.
And basically, he's telling his story of who he is.
Is
Brian
this true?
Sumner. He introduces himself as Brian. He's from Liverpool.
Is he a an addict or a recovering addict?
I don't know necessarily.
What's
but
his name? Brian Sumner?
Yeah, I know he's... Like, if you look up his Twitter, which I did,
sure
in
did.
his bio, it mentions nothing about skateboarding. He's a full-on proselytizer now. So that leads me to believe that he's gotten into some type of born-again shit, which often comes from the opposite, pendulum swing of
he lives
some
in
addiction
Huntington
or
Beach,
something.
California.
But he's from Liverpool. All that was legit.
You can keep talking. I'm just going to do some research.
Okay. So he, basically says all that. And then he's wearing a Truth t-shirt, which is the board company, apparently. Don't know if that's legit or not. And he holds up his board for him, and it's...
Well, the back and forth is, well, I tried the drinking, the drugs, the smoking, or whatever, and it didn't work for me. And Caleb said, what did work?
He holds up his board, and it's like
straight up
Jesus with the crown of thorns, plain as day, on just graphic on the bottom of his board. Mm-hmm. This is what helped me through. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, oh, all right. And then he goes and does skate.
He lands his trick.
Lands a couple of tricks, looks back, and the shadowy figure who was there in the previous shot is now gone. Is Brian Sumner Jesus? Maybe. We don't know. If you look in your research, does it say if Brian Sumner is Jesus?
It doesn't say that, but it also it's not the most well written because there is they do. God, what were we just watching that somebody's reading a script and it was like, Mandy said, Mandy, what are you doing here? Are there two Mandys? What were we just watching?
I don't think I was watching that, but I'm guessing it's the Steve Guttenberg episode of
No, it was not.
Did they read the script? No?
It was, no, it was something else. But by the way, if you just need something to do tonight, watch the Steve Guttenberg episode of Party Down. It's such good television. Yeah. Because I'm trying to find where Tracy... Oh, yeah, no, that's not me. So we've got Brian Sumner on Wikipedia, his sort of overall jam, early career, height of career, and then finding Christianity.
Yeah, honestly, he's got a video part in that One Step Beyond video, the audio video that is really, really good. That was one of my favorite parts of that video. His skateboard. He's got a style that I really like. He's reminds me a lot of a guy named Heath Kirchart, who's another one of my favorite pro skaters. And I remember seeing that and being like, oh, keep an eye out for this guy. And then I don't know what happened to him.
Well,
I didn't see him much after that.
The reason,
and apparently it's because he was kidnapped by the Lord.
The reason I bring that up is because at the beginning of Finding Christianity, and this is the first time in this page that this name has been used, is Brian and Tracy divorced just a few years and Brian began to question life and purpose. I don't know who Tracy is. They didn't... Okay. I understand this isn't a narrative, but after separating from Tracy, dealing with anger management, and facing hard times... Not even,
doesn't have a last... Separating with his wife, Tracy.
No.
Or Tracy Jones or whatever.
Nope.
No.
She doesn't have a hyperlink, so she doesn't deserve a last name. Brian began to study different religions of the world after doing community service at a Christian thrift store and running into Christian what is it?
Christian Hosoi.
Hosoi? Oh, I would have said it right. Who had been in prison for 5 years. Brian soon ended up repenting his sins to Jesus Christ and becoming a Christian. Brian began sharing the gospel of sin and repentance right away, along with many other fellow skateboarders. And then there is a whole situation called evangelizing. Oh, okay, at the bottom. Brian was married in 19 to Tracy Sumner of Huntington Beach. Their son Dakota was born soon after. Soon after makes me think that was definitely a shotgun wedding. They divorced within 2 years, but then remarried and gave birth to their second child, Eden. In 2010, Tracy gave birth to their third child, Jude. Today, Brian and his wife, Tracy, are part of the Rock Harbor community where they finished marriage counseling through Rock Harbor under Dr. Tirabassi so they can continue to help. This guy sounds like the fucking pits. I've never wanted to meet somebody less.
His segment in One Step Beyond is real good, though. You don't have to know anything about him.
Does he talk with his human mouse?
Nope.
Okay.
No, it's all skateboarding, and his skateboarding is good.
Okay, so God, what fucking I've lost the plot on movieguide.org. So and then
we were questioning whether or not Brian Sumner was Jesus.
So Brian Sumner comes in, says Jesus is the way and the light, and then Caden or whatever, Caleb is like, yeah, sure, defo for sure.
Then he goes and finds black magic homeless man.
I forgot about Black Magic Homeless Man. Okay. So all along this movie, this aggressively white movie, I would say, there has been a man, a homeless gentleman, who appears to be, I don't know, African American, but has this wig on.
Like one of those like bad dread wigs that you buy in a store.
It
for like
truly looked
generic
like
Rasta costume.
It was like if somebody pulled the Rasta wig off that Rasta banana that everybody got in at Six Flags in the 90s and just plopped it on his head. And he keeps holding up these cardboard signs like who fucking cares? It just has like some various phrases. And then at some point he runs into this guy whose name I don't know. And they start talking. And it turns out, good news, the only black man in this movie is magical. So Caleb says to him, how can you live this way? And he starts to tell the story of, he used to have a wife and a daughter who was very cute. Mm-hmm. And
they show a little flashback.
Yeah. It's Easter Sunday, and they do like POV. So it's like from his point of view. So his wife and daughter are coming down the staircase in their very nice house.
But even like the sound mixing for a POV like this is so bad that it sounds like it's coming from the daughter.
Yeah.
Like they don't mix it into any type of like, doesn't have to be surround sound, but it's not coming from a single side point off camera. It's so bad.
Was it the hospital scene when the like music in the background was just
the restaurant.
Oh, the restaurant. It was literally as loud as the dialogue.
Yeah.
And so he had this girl who was, I don't know, what probably 6, and his wife, and it was Easter Sunday, and they were going to go to somebody's house. And then he got a call from work. I don't think, was it clear what his job was?
I think they mentioned, but it was the same thing of like, it's my secretary, and
she wouldn't call if it wasn't important. So this isn't like I'm a doctor and somebody's dying. It is like my secretary, who is also working on Easter Sunday, but we won't talk about her because fuck that girl.
Because she's a secretary.
Well, she makes $9 an hour. She should be grateful she has a job. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay, I need to go in really quick. I'll meet y'all there at grandma's house or whatever. And while the wife and daughter are driving, there is a drunk driver crosses the line, kills them both. And he says, I should have been the one driving, which is garbage because it's not like the wife swerved and ran off a bridge. Like a guy fucking hit them.
There's a reasonable thought of saying, I should have been there. I should have been driving, and feeling that guilt. But the fact that they portray it as though, yeah, you should have been. You fucked up. Is the like, instead of like, no, it wasn't your fault and you should be absolved of that guilt because it wasn't your fault. Instead, it's, I'm harboring all of the guilt. And he says, I just shut down after that and gave up. I gave up everything. And that, like, also sets up the storyline of it being homeless people are homeless because they gave up. They don't try anymore. Mm-hmm. So
they've made the choice to be homeless.
Exactly. Like they don't have they're not pulling themselves out of that. They're not trying to pull themselves out of that. They're homeless because they gave up and not like any
of them could
thousands of things that could be preventing them from finding
any one of the homeless people could go into any place of business, get a job, make a living wage, and turn their life around. And
it's called bootstraps.
So he has this weird conversation And
I don't know
what it had to do with God,
this
though.
guy's moment, though, he tears up.
Honestly, his performance was, for as bad as the script was, he did what he had to do.
With it, I
honestly, of all the terrible performances in this movie, this guy's was, his wig was offensive.
Yeah.
His performance was actually very good. And so what the fuck ever happens.
He gave up and decided to commit to the Lord and prevent others from falling into his.
And he does that by standing at Venice
corners.
Beach with a cardboard sign that says repent.
Various things every day. Like it's different things every day.
Well, and they do kind of a flashback of like all the messages that he had seen of this guy as if it was supposed to be like a sentence.
Yeah.
It was
That's
not.
what I thought. That's what I was going to say. It was like they kept saying that, and I was like, do these go together? Or
they did not.
Like, was I not piecing them together properly? And then they show them all in order, and I was like, nope. Still doesn't make sense. But also, the sentences in the Bible don't make sense. So,
which is fair.
Maybe it is actually an actual excerpt from the Bible that I didn't understand because the Bible doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I didn't
either.
even consider that. No, yeah, it could be. I don't know. And so he's reaffirmed, recommits himself to Christ or whatever. Goes to this skateboarding competition. Like, everything is just like a non sequitur. Yeah. It's like, we're having a street race. I'm in jail.
Ryder.
I'm talking to a homeless guy.
Ryder challenges him. Who's the, like, bad guy skateboarder?
So the guy with, like, the kind of beady eyes.
He's the guy who said looks like Miles. Yeah.
He looks like our friend's ex-husband, and that did not ingratiate him into our into our lives today.
But he... I just realized she listens to this podcast too.
Amanda listens to. Oh.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Well, I didn't realize she listened regularly. Hey, Amanda.
She did for a while. I mean, I assume she still does. I don't know that she would have.
If she doesn't, it's going to be embarrassing for her because I'm saying hi for her. Hi to her right now.
There was a real douchey guy in this.
It's not. You were
looked at times like Miles.
We were talking about
acted at times like Miles.
No, Mikey. We were talking about another friend of ours whose ex-husband looked like this douchey guy. We're being supportive of Amanda. And
we are being supportive of Amanda.
Do we not like Miles?
If she doesn't like Miles, I like Amanda better than Miles.
Yeah, Amanda's the fucking best.
I liked Miles fine, but I didn't ever really know Miles.
He was a nothing burger.
And Amanda's amazing. So,
although I do think he had an uncle who was in John Wayne Gacy's basement for a minute, and I did enjoy that story one time.
I think that was Matt Beaumont.
I thought that was Miles. Matt Beaumont was the one who ate corn like a machine.
I know that. But I thought...
Mikey's coworker, Matt Beaumont, eats corn in a way that leaves the cob
really impressive.
Machine stripped. It's
he literally pulls off every... but not slowly, but is able to pull off every kernel in its entirety.
And just like a Looney Tune with a typewriter. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that was that same day.
Yep. No, it wasn't actually. That was a different day.
Just let me have that for once.
Anyway.
So he ends up in the skate competition.
Right. Which is, like we mentioned earlier, basically a game of skate. Where it's, I'm going to do a trick,
anything
you
can do, I can do
I'm
better.
I'm going to do a trick, you do a trick. And the other guys, whatever. So they go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then... our boy Caleb decides I'm going to do a hard flip backside lip slide.
Did he say those words?
He called it a hard flip back lip, which is realistically how you would probably say that if you actually you shorthand everything because
you're busy, you're skaters. You don't have time to say the whole thing.
It doesn't. It's dumb. No one says 360 flip anymore, even, which is a skate trick. They call it a tray flip because you don't have time for it. It's just everything, because every skate trick now is this trick plus this trick plus this. It's kind of like how in a lot of other languages, larger numbers.
Are you just talking about French?
French, I know specifically, but I think a lot of languages do that. So in American English, we say 99. Mm-hmm. It's its own entity. 99 is its own thing. In French, the translation is like 520s.
Do maths.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
420s.
Catravantes, no. So it's 420s and a 9 is basically what you're saying.
89? Is that what you're saying?
catch a Van Diesel. So it's 420s 10-9 is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think that's just French.
Well, I know. Is it?
I don't think that's most
I thought there was a lot of
Spanish is not that way.
Regardless, it's the same thing. You say it in a shorter way. So you would say,
Mikey just wanted to brag that he has 3rd grade French under his belt.
I absolutely did not, and I was hoping to bypass that, but you kept bringing it up, so thank you for that. But no, it's just a way of, you would say hard flip back lip. That's just faster and whatever, instead of a hard flip backside lip slide. Like, you know what you're doing. But essentially what that trick is the hard flip, which we described earlier as being difficult. Kick flip and a frontside shove it. Plus you're riding with your back to the rail, so it's backside.
So you can't see.
So you can't really see what you're doing, but you ollie far enough out, or you do your trick
ollie
far enough
fancy
out.
Jump.
So you do the hard flip, and by the time you catch your board, you turn and blindly turn your backside over so that you do a board slide, which is just sliding on the center of your board.
As opposed to the trucks?
Yeah. Or the nose or the tail.
Oh, okay.
So this lands on the center of the board, and you're sliding backwards down the rail.
Which is hard.
Very hard.
Okay.
So I'm curious to know who did that trick.
Caleb.
But he couldn't do that trick until he saw his father in the crowd, because his father somehow knew about this.
Yeah.
Because
and dressed
there's
up
the
in
moment
costume?
where he brought the guy back. The dad brought the guy back into the office that quit for his family and was like, "I realized what you were talking about now.
I've had his son for 48 hours, and he's everything to me.
And now I'm going to go see my son because family's important. You stay here at the office, though." Which basically he just brought that guy back into cover for him so he could leave the office.
Yeah, no, he's a trash monster.
So
there are no heroes in this movie.
And Caleb sees Christian Hosoi and Brian Sumner in the crowd. Caleb does a trick where he cracked his truck.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
So, I don't know shit about shit. However, I know what a truck is. So, if you don't know anything about skateboarding, you imagine like the board itself.
Trucks are like the axle.
Excuse me, I'm trying to show everybody how good I am at skateboarding. The trucks are like the metal part that hold they're like axles, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So when you're thinking of the thing that's going to break on your skateboard, is it the very thin piece of wood that all of your weight is on, or is it the large pieces of metal where most of the weight is? Has anyone ever broken a truck?
This is what's interesting. So, there's several components to a truck. A truck is the base plate, which is the metal plate that screws into your board. Mm-hmm. There is, inside that, there's a kingpin that comes up the top. Wrapped around the kingpin is what's called bushings. Those are the little rubber washers, basically. Mm-hmm. And then the actual axle of the truck. Mm-hmm. So the axle moves on the rubber bushings, which is what makes it teeter softly, but still kind of basically.
And is that the thing you can change to make it looser or tighter?
Yeah. So the end of the bolt that is the kingpin, which is what the bushings are wrapped around. Okay. Is a bolt. The tighter that bolt is, or that you tighten that bolt, the stiffer your truck, the harder or easier it is to turn accordingly. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you skate really tight trucks, so if you crank that down really tight, which is what I did, I used to skate really, really tight trucks, you tend to break a lot of kingpins, which is that main bolt. Oh, okay. That connects the base plate to the axle. Because the
force of the board trying to move back and forth.
Yeah, instead of the rubber giving you enough give to turn, if you land hard on it, and it's so tight, it'll just it'll crack somewhere in the middle of the threading of the bolt. So I used to break kingpins a lot more than I broke boards. Okay. So it is
But how
possible.
often did you break trucks?
But, I mean, the kingpin is a part of the truck.
Okay.
Here's the thing. If you break a kingpin, A, you say, I broke a kingpin.
Mm-hmm.
I cracked my kingpin. B, the wheels fall off. He's holding a board that is in complete like shape. It's a board with 4 wheels. Everything is connected.
I'm sorry, this noise is me emptying
When
the bag
he
of wine into my
says-
glass.
When he says, I cracked my trucks, that doesn't mean anything.
That's a nonsense
The
term.
only other thing you can typically do to break trucks, which is not super uncommon, is a slipped axle, which is the screw that holds the wheels in, comes separated from the actual main piece of the truck.
Okay.
Which means it slides and it doesn't hold its shape anymore. But even that, you could still technically skate on that for a little while. Like,
But not in a big competition.
You don't crack your trucks. What they should have done,
Because there's like fail points in a truck.
is it's not hard to crack a skateboard if you want to. Mm-hmm. Like,
They're pretty thin
land
wood.
in certain spots. You can snap it. Like, what they should have done is have someone do a trick and ideally you're supposed to land above your bolts, which is the strongest point. Do a trick, land on the tail, and snap your tail off. People do it all the time. Mm-hmm. Do that, and then you can hold a broken board.
Yeah.
And say, I broke my board.
And it's something we can all see.
What am I supposed to do? Oh, Brian Sumner's going to give you Jesus board, and you'll be fine.
It genuinely feels like somebody said, I broke my engine of my car. Like, it's just like, I guess.
It's not. It's more like I broke my driving. Like, it doesn't make sense. Or like I broke my wheel. Or like, what do you mean you broke your wheel? That doesn't make sense.
The axle?
Did
you blow a tire?
Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, and the thing that's disappointing is that the one thing this movie actually did kind of well was understand skateboarding, the terms, the tricks. Mm-hmm. All of those things were actually pretty accurate. So to have your big point be like,
it's the finale.
And a layman would have gone into this and said, like, oh, let's have him break his board. Mm-hmm. And that would have been better.
Yeah.
Instead of, I cracked my truck.
It does feel like somebody who has heard of 4 things on a skateboard. They've heard of the board, they've heard of the wheels, they've heard of the axle.
Yeah, they knew
or
enough to say hardflip black lip going into it. Right. You know what I mean? Like, you know the lingo. You know this world. Why would you say you cracked your truck?
Yeah. And so he cracked his truck, so he can't go on. And then, oh boy, English guy. What was his name?
Brian Sumner.
Jesus. He was like, where am I supposed to get another skateboard in this skate park? And Brian Sumner was like, you mean Jesus skateboard?
Which coincidentally happened to be, the board, his size and shape and...
I don't know anything about
that.
Well,
like,
is it literally like somebody gave me a saddle? I'm like, oh, great, it fits the horse and me.
It's anything. Like, it's... You have to be very comfortable on your board. Like, when I was in my prime, I liked big wide tails. I rode a 775 width. I skated my truck super tight. I rode 56 wheels. Like, I knew my sizes. I can skate other things, but like, give me a little bit of time to like get used to it.
Right. And that's also, I would guess, similar to the first time you took me snowboarding, and the snowboard was 1.5 feet, maybe 4 feet too long for me.
Oh, yeah? Oh, did I give you one of my... Yeah.
When we were in snow... Where was that? When I had the really good Bloody Mary.
Oh, Tyrol?
Tyrol Basin. Tyrol Bay, that's not a thing.
But yeah...
I cried a lot on that slope.
But that's exactly... Like, and sometimes it's, here's what should be right for you. Or, you get different sizes or shapes.
Or they've established, we skate the same board.
Yeah, for different disciplines or whatever. You want wider boards for skating vert and then, like things like that. But, like, just picking up somebody else's board and being ready to go
for a competition, not just
and to do an incredibly difficult trick. Which the other thing I think is a little bit funny is they show that board a few times. It's the Jesus board. And the graph is pristine. If he's doing lip slides,
he's just carving on Jesus' face.
Carving on Jesus' face. Also, the ending shot of the movie is afterwards, and he holds up his board, and it's still pristine. And one board slide, and that graphic is gone.
Really?
Like, not gone, but there's a big scrape down it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just really thin, cheap paint.
But he gave you that 1,000,000-watt smile, Mikey. You took a picture of it. All right, and so he, I guess, won the competition, which means...
I don't know. What it wasn't a formal competition.
There's
he beat
literally
the other guy.
no stakes in this movie, is the thing. There's genuinely no cause and effect anywhere in this movie.
Nor is there any,
nothing has consequences.
Catharsis, or he doesn't well, you know what, I had a troublesome relationship with my mom, but I found my dad, and we became... He still doesn't have a relationship with his dad. Like... He got in with his skate buddies now. He's got skate buddies. That's the only...
He has friends his age, which is, good. I'm happy for him. But also...
It's just...
It shouldn't take your mom dying to realize that you should have friends.
It's just... I mean, this movie is just so fucking good.
Ooh, you got me there. No, it's a trash movie. Don't watch it. But if you do want to watch it, it's on Amazon Prime.
Here's the thing. Watch it, though.
It's no. I cannot
watch it.
I listen to a lot of I listen to 2 bad movie podcasts, and they always do the thing I'm like, watch it or don't watch it. Genuinely, there's nothing.
Well,
it's not good enough. It's not bad enough to be good.
Oh, that's where I disagree. This is.
What's the song we've been singing all night?
What's that?
What's the song we've been singing all night? When I tell you to stop. There was, honestly, the entire score, it felt like you're in GarageBand and you had access to, you know what I mean? Non-copyrighted, generic rock music.
And I realized now at some point, I remember looking through it because I didn't think of it at the time. Before we watched it, I was looking at some of the Amazon reviews, which are primarily
Mikey
5-star reviews.
Mikey did some research on this.
Which they're primarily 5-star reviews, so good on them. They all got it right.
They know their audience.
But one of them I remember being something about, the soundtrack is incredible.
Oh, boy.
And I was like, ooh,
boy.
It's super 2009 bad rap rock.
God, I wouldn't even say 2000. I would say 2002. It really harkened back to my high school.
Yeah,
garbage
just very
music.
Limp Bizkit-y, that kind of shit. And then
she did it all for the noogie.
Some band plays some song that I feel like they're trying to be The Darkness.
Yeah, and I cannot call it up, but Mikey and I have screamed it at each other for the last 2 hours.
It's fucking...
Ba-doom, boom, boom. Listen, this movie is sort of a mess in a lot of ways. It was... Honestly, I don't know if this is a good, bad movie for me.
It absolutely is for me. Because it's... this is not good, bad in the way that, I ever want to watch it again.
Oh, see, to me, I thought this is going to be something that you're going to, 2 weeks from now, you're going to be like, guess what? I bought this on Blu-ray so we can watch it with our friends.
Demolition Man or something like that.
Yeah.
This is, I'm so glad I watched this.
And you just want to describe it to people?
It's hilarious. It's hilarious because it genuinely thinks it's subtle and deep.
Well, that's the funny thing is all the reviews you sent me were it's Christian, but it's very subtle. And I'm like, ma'am, is it?
No, absolutely not.
It's more subtle than a lot of movies are in this ilk that are very much I lost Jesus and I don't...
Sure.
He doesn't yell at Jesus nearly enough as I expected him to.
It's... Yeah. That's sure. I don't watch a lot of Christian movies.
That's on you.
But most of them don't have skateboarding in the forefront, so that's why.
Yeah.
If there's a snowboarding one, I'll watch that one next.
Okay.
But it's
email us at friendly atheist podcast
Yeah.
at gmail.com if you know another terrible Jesus movie about snowboarding. About what are your other interests? Movie watching,
movies, and I don't think
there's a horseback riding Jesus movie.
Okay,
I'd be fucking down to
we can watch
town.
that. But yeah, no, it's bad. But it's bad in a way that, like, it's fun seeing this movie, especially in direct juxtaposition of reading all the reviews of the people who were able somehow to look past the fact that this is one of the worst produced movies that I've ever seen. It's like every aspect of making a film is wretched.
Yeah.
The lighting, all the cinematography, all the sound design, acting, the script, everything is bad.
But it had some dope skating.
But the skating is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And so I give them credit for that. But, like,
it kind of makes me think of, like, Center Stage, which was, like, one of my sort of movie anthems except for that movie is amazing and there's no flaw with it. But even if the script wasn't good, the dancing is really good. So like you watch it to get that out of it.
Right. This movie isn't Gleaming the Cube, which is
better or worse.
It's Gleaming the Cube is good, bad. Like, I enjoy watching it. I know it's cheesy. I know it's stupid.
Christian Slater is the guy?
Yes. And it's great.
Christian?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This movie is bad good. It's really, really bad first. And then, like, that makes it worth watching.
I mean,
you want to see how bad it is.
Yeah, I could see us in the before times or after COVID happens. I could see us like getting like Jeff and Leslie or Matt or whatever and watching this movie together and getting drunk and yelling at the screen like that. It serves that purpose.
You should watch how bad this movie is. Whereas Gleaming the Cube it's fun to watch how bad this is. That's the distinction, I think, if that makes sense.
It makes sense to me, but I know you pretty well. Cool. Well. And the end of the movie is he won the thing?
Well, he held up his board with Jesus.
That's the thing is there's no conclusion.
He found Jesus.
He found Jesus, but...
And it turns out he was on a skateboard. The whole time he was on a skateboard.
Is he going to keep his mom's house?
What I want to know
any money?
Is he found Jesus in the skateboard.
Is he going pro?
Did he steal Jesus from Brian Sumner? Does that mean Brian Sumner no longer
of Jesus?
Has Jesus?
Or literally Jesus? Like the board with Jesus on it?
Yes.
Or the spirit of Jesus?
Yes.
So you think the spirit of Jesus is no longer with Brian Sumner, so he's bad now?
I think the spirit of Jesus is in that skateboard.
Well, I hate that.
And the 7 plies of wood on that skate deck were directly pulled from the cross of the where Jesus was crucified.
Let me tell you who was the original kickflip. He was a humble carpenter from Bethlehem named Jesus.
Greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
I did send that to Mikey.
It was a sweet melon grab.
There's like a really fun medieval drawing that says the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was the rad melon grab he did that one time. And there's 2 demons that are saying, whoa, and sick. It was pretty good. Okay.
Scared or die.
We need to wrap this up. It's almost 2 hours. Oh, also, this movie was 2 Gregorian hours long. It was so fucking long. It was
an hour 55.
It genuinely was... like, at one point, it was like 45 minutes into the movie, and Mikey paused it to, like, get a drink or go to the bathroom or take the dog out or whatever. And I saw it was 45 minutes of, like, an hour 55, and I almost genuinely cried. Like, I didn't sign up for this. I signed up for a 90-minute garbage fest. These movies should not be 2 hours. There needs to be a legal law against that. You need a license to make a movie longer than 90 minutes. How are you supposed
to proselytize if you don't have enough time?
Okay. That's enough. Mikey, anything do you want to plug? Mikey's on Instagram. He's a very gifted photographer.
Listen to Cooper Duper.
Oh, yeah. Mikey and I have...
Yeah.
You shouldn't make fun of me on the podcast of us trying to...
I was supporting you.
Was that thing. Just repeating me? Was supporting?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mikey's favorite movie, maybe. Mikey's favorite thing
My favorite movie is Hardflip.
Mikey's favorite show is Twin Peaks, and we have both been Twin Peaks fans for a minute, so we're doing a rewatch podcast where we go one episode at a time. We are, I don't know, quarter of the way through season 2. We just found out who killed Laura Palmer.
Dun, dun, dun.
And genuinely, it has been some of the most fun I've had in a long time. It's just been, of all the garbage that's happening this year with everything, it's been really nice that we have had this space to, like, spend constructive time together. Anyway, whatever. I guess I love you.
Plus, it's keeping us sane, considering we're not going anywhere.
Is it, though? So, Mikey, you're on Twitter at Mikey Greif. MikeyGreif.
Maybe.
Follow him on Instagram. He's a very gifted photographer. Right now, he is only taking pictures of beer that he's drinking.
Not only, but I did take a picture of the final shot of this movie. So
did you post that up?
Yep,
it's literally, if you want to see pictures of our dog Daddy or the beer that Mikey's drinking in a given day, it's
yeah, that's the bulk of it.
What Mr. _ Mikey G.
The other things were always just like my commute to the office, so it was a lot of cool.
But I mean, you worked in the fucking Wrigley building, so you had some nice views. Like he was like, oh, I guess I saw a peregrine falcon today.
Yeah, and it would just destroy pigeons. It was wild. So there's some pictures in there of that, yeah.
Anyway, hey, thank you for listening to this. I'm sorry it was 2 hours. You deserve better than this. And you'll hear from me, I guess, next week when I record my next regular episode. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.